Trouble done gone before. Trouble will come again.
Hi, my name is Addie, and I am a therapist at Seneca Connections in San Francisco.
Is the only real trouble, my friend.
What inspired you to get into this?
That's a long story. I think it's been an evolution. I came to Seneca. What I found I really enjoyed as much as working with adults and adolescents was with the really little kids because of the playfulness and that, yes, children are vulnerable, but they're so very strong as well. Their ability to still play and their ability to sort of connect with innocence, even if they've had a lot of rough things happen to them, is still very present. If you back out of the way and just give them a safe space to sort of play and explore their experience, they have this amazing ability to heal themselves, even in a way that's like more than adults can actually.
So hard to say goodbye.
I worked with a young, about a 6-year-old, and we really struggled in our relationship for a while, and then we just formed this bond a lot over. I would sing to her in the car.
It waved goodbye, caused me to cry.
When I sort of backed away from I need to fix, I need to do, and focused on I need to have a relationship with this child and I need to play with her and connect in that place, our relationship just blossomed. And she taught me a lot about, even if there's so much pain in somebody's 6 short years of life, there's also joy.
What are some of the values you hold that are reflected in the work that you do?
I think the biggest one is probably just respect of people and their inherent worth. Another one is that I believe in the goodness of people. I believe we come into this world with all sorts of things swirling around inside of us, but there's sort of a constant goodness or light that we all want to connect to.
What will you take with you from the experience in this position?
I think playful. Yeah. I think you really have to want to connect to an energy of playfulness when you work with children, but I think people in general because of the healing nature of play and playfulness and humor is like such a healing medicine.
All this holding on is the only real trouble, my friend.
Hi, I'm Mari, and I am a family partner with Seneca, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do. I work with parents whose children are wards of the state, and I support them wherever they're at. One parent, for instance, has a barrier, one of the barriers that she needs housing. So I am supporting her in finding affordable housing. Another parent has a lot of health issues, and it's actually a grandmother, has a lot of health issues, and she's fostering her granddaughters. And one of the things that I have been I'm working with her on is for her to take care of herself, because we believe in self-care. That's very important. If a parent doesn't feel well and is not healthy, how could they take care of other children? So of kids. So what I'm working with her on is I'm motivating her to, let's go to the gym, let's go for a walk, and it depends on where the parent is at. One parent that I'm working with, for instance, the child lives in our program. Where I work is a youth residential program. It's called RBS, and the kids go home on visits on the weekends if there's no legal issue, for instance, abuse or something like that. But I let them know, you know what, kids are going to mess up. But as a parent, we need to continue supporting them, and they're going to continue to mess up. But we need to be there every step of the way. And kids do better when they know that there's somebody consistent that loves them and cares what they're going to do and that they're going to be successful. And that's what I try to teach parents. And then, in addition to that, this parent needs housing, this parent needs self-care, this parent needs more parenting skills and coping skills. Well, I've always liked working with the community. I work with high-risk families in a school district, which is an urban school district. And typically in an urban school district, you're going to have a lot of kids who are high risk. I think kids really need emotional support, and to know that somebody is going to be consistently there for them no matter what. No matter you mess up, guess what? I love you.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm a Seneca support counselor, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do. So as a support counselor, we do a lot of different things. It's pretty varied, but we do everything from facilitating family visitation, one-to-one counseling, just supporting these families through what really are the most difficult times in their lives. And it can be really hard, but the beauty of it is that we get to sort of just be this great support system for these families. And what our work entails is bringing these values and these lessons and the support to them so that someday they can do it on their own and sort of move off. And so we kind of move our clients and families on and feel like they have the tools necessary to keep growing and doing well in life. The real unique part of our service is that we go into the communities. So we go to these families' homes, we go to their neighborhoods, their schools, and it's really great because we sort of feel like ambassadors, and also very fortunate to be allowed into these very personal places. Someone's home, their living room, their bedrooms, their hallways, their school hallways, their classrooms. These are places that are central in their lives, and we get to be a part of it. And so it's very special that we get to do that.
How'd you get into it?
So I studied psychology in college, but before that I actually had aspirations that were completely different. What really put me here is that I grew up with a sibling who had autism. And that exposed me very early on to the helping professions, to just a huge network of support. And so I think that kind of got the ball rolling, and then took a funky class in high school that talked about everything from family systems and social work and philosophy. And I just was like, oh my God, I have to do this. This is amazing. There are a lot of things that are inspiring about this work. I think the central thing is that I do feel like we're doing something good. It's something that doesn't have self-interest attached to it. It's not about making money. It's not about growing some business. And these are just my values, but you're helping someone or someone's family to feel better in life. And we really worked hard to help each person sort of find their niche within their family. And when we stepped out, we had this wonderful lunch with them. It was some pizza place. Really good pizza. But it was this amazing feeling of here's everyone around one table. And that situation is what this family struggled with a lot. It's just like the dinner table and like arguing and not getting along. And it was such a beautiful experience. It was a complete 180 from what they would come to us and talk to us about. Like, this is the worst thing, we need help with this. And we saw them make this transition to where we sat around the table and we shared stories and we laughed and people cried, and it was very beautiful. I think it takes, in a few words, I think it takes empathy, it takes patience, it takes love, I think it takes curiosity, especially, you could underline that one. It takes a little bit of bravery. I think hope is a big thing. You gotta have hope.
My name is Michelle. I'm a family support counselor at Seneca, and I'd love to tell you a little bit about what I do. I work with kids individually, and depending on their situations with their families or their foster families or their caregivers, I work with the kids on, each kid has a treatment goal set up for them, and I work with them individually on trying to complete or meet those goals through interventions or just support. I meet them at home, I meet them in the community, wherever their need is, I support them there.
How'd you get started in something like this?
Actually, it kind of was an accident. I went to school to be an elementary school teacher, and this summer after I graduated, I got a job at the YMCA where we worked with at-risk youth. And after that summer, I just, thought that I wanted to do a little bit more hands-on before I continued on my teaching career. And so I talked to a friend from high school, and she told me about Seneca, and I just said, yes, that's exactly what I want. I love to see the kids realizing that, Seneca's here to help. I think they have a lot of service providers, and I've heard some of my kids say that, like, they don't feel supported sometimes, but that, with Seneca, they actually feel like their needs are being met, and that the things that they need, we're supporting them on. And so it's nice to know that, they do know that we're here and that we're here to help. We do work with kids with emotional disorders and, mental health diagnoses. And so some of these kids aren't going to be the nicest to you. And so it's resilience is a good thing to have, and be able to, have a little bit of tough skin and just know that they're coming from a place of fear and or hurt, and not necessarily, not to take it personally.
Hi, my name is Kalechi. I am a therapeutic behavioral services clinician, also known as TBS, and I would like to tell you about what I do. I work very closely with families and children. Oftentimes it's in their home, but I'm working with the families to come up with coping skills or strategies that they could use to reduce a behavior that's causing problems for the family in the home. So very often not very often, all the time, we call this behavior the target behavior. It can have different forms, but in general, the target behavior is whatever is most concerning to the family. And I'm working with the child to come up with coping skills. I'm working with the parent to come up with communication strategies and skills like setting limits and clear expectations that might reduce the appearance of whatever that behavior is. We're very often flexible with meeting the families where they are, but I try to work with the families a lot more in the home, since they're with their family more. Their family's more important to them. And there's something about being in that home environment that just helps the children to really kind of show things that you don't see at school, and kind of opens you up to understanding how the family communicates, how they work. And with that understanding, okay, now that I understand this family a little better, what interventions or work match up with this family's values, or what they want for their child, or how they communicate, or how they work. So there's a lot more that I see there that I can't see when I'm just seeing them at school. But what inspires me is when I'm getting ready to close with the child, or even before I even close with the child, when I'm told, oh, this is going on and that's going on, and then I finally get to meet the family, and I see so much hope, and I see how much they love each other, how much they care about each other. Because in general, the families that I've come into contact with, even though they're struggling and they're having a hard time with this behavior that the child's presenting, they don't get involved with our service when they don't love or care for their child. Like, it's a lot, it's time, it's attention, and it's effort, and it's a stranger, and you don't do that if you don't care, or if you don't have hopes for the child's future. So that's what inspires me. Like, these families have hope, and if they want this service, like, there's stuff we could do that will help.
What do you have to do this job?
Open-mindedness, I think that honestly sums it up, because you have to be open-minded in terms of like your flexibility, willing to meet the families where they're at, open-minded in the sense of, okay, if this child is, giving me their bad day, or if the parent's giving me their bad day, being open-minded enough to be like, well, what's really going on? And not just seeing what's in front of you, but being open to exploring what else might be behind that, what they're trying to communicate to you. And open-minded in the sense that even when you're faced with like a really tough situation and it's very difficult, reaching out to figure out, okay, I don't have to do this on my own. Because I think a lot of times in this work we feel like we have to, but you have your supervisors that will give you that support. If you build enough support with the coworkers, the people who work here are amazing. Like, they will give you the support. But also having that connection at home, like being open to sharing, I'm having a tough day at work, I need you guys right now in my life. I need my parents, I need my siblings, I need my friends, like whoever it is that gives you that support, being open enough to not feel like you have to carry that on your own. Because it's gonna get to you. There are gonna be times where you might go home crying because A child is suffering so much and it really hurts to see them go through that. Or they shared one of their experiences with you and you'd never heard that before. So use your supports. Don't do it alone. Be open to that.
I'm Alexandra. I'm a mobile counselor here at Seneca, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do. Our position as mobile counselors is a little strange. We have many different parts to it. So one of the most important parts is we supervise quote unquote first visits. What that means is that a child has just been removed from their home for the very first time by a social worker because of many reasons, and has been placed in their first foster home. And so what our site does is that we contact the parents and the child and we get them together for a first visit. So it's the first time they've seen each other since the child has been removed. And we supervise it for them, both for records for the court and for the social worker, and to provide safety for the family.
And what's that like to be in that room?
It's pretty intense, and it can be, so many wonderful things happen during these visits. I laugh all the time. I'm supposed to be a little fly on the wall, and they're always hearing me giggle because just the cutest interactions, the most heartwarming interactions, but they can also be intense in other ways. They can be really sad. I've seen families cry together for like an hour because they've missed each other so much. When the visits end, it can be very hard for the parents, very hard for the kid, a lot of crying there too. Sometimes the children are angry at the parent for whatever reason it was that they got removed, and that can be really hard on the parents, so that can be really intense because they feel guilty, they feel sad. I feel so lucky that I'm able to help these families in any way have visits and stay connected.
How'd you get into this?
I decided to get into this kind of work when I worked abroad, actually. I worked abroad for 6 months in London, and I was with a temp company, and I thought I was going to be at a pub, but they put me at a homeless hostel. And I was an English major when I was in college. I had no idea what I wanted to do with myself. And I loved working with those men and women. It just made my day. And I had all kinds of adventures while I was there. And when I came back, I said, you know, I want to try to work with people and see what I can give back. And I also really love kids. I coached color guard high school kids for 10 years. And so I love this population that we're working with. I applied to Seneca. It was the first place I applied to. I was kind of holding out, hoping they'd take me. So I heard really good things, and they did. And then the last 8 years happened.